Sure, you've played every BioWare RPG. You've 100%ed all the Elder Scrolls games, and by all the Elder Scrolls games, we mean just 3, 4, and 5 because nobody really cares about Arena or Daggerfall. You know it, we know it. But if you haven't played any of these underrated, overlooked RPGs, then you're missing out on some of the best the genre has to offer. Also, for like half of these, you're gonna go like, oh, that game, I heard that game sucked, brah. And while all of these games have some definite flaws that prevented them from finding their audience at first, they're still tremendously interesting experiences. Basically, anybody who says Alpha Protocol is bad can eat my ass. It's the history of RPGs powered by Summoner's War. And we're talking about the 8 best RPGs you never played. Number 8, Summoner's War. With over 90 million downloads and $1 billion in revenue since it started in 2014, it may seem weird to call Summoner's War an RPG that people haven't played, but we feel that this mobile RPG is a sleeper hit in waiting for North America. With a sprawling campaign, turn-based combat, and never-ending PvP experiences in the arena, this is an RPG that will take an hour to learn, but a lifetime to master. Number 7, Alpha Protocol. Yes! Okay, imagine Mass Effect, but it's about spies instead of sci-fi, and there's actually a lot of variance in the story. And also you can make yourself crazy overpowered in like the first 3 hours of the game. It's a little janky, sure, but it's the only game where you can dress like a complete idiot, befriend a psychotic Nolan North,
Mike Bobola, what's the shakes?
screw your way across half the world and raise personal stats like orphans created instead of kills, and medical bills racked up instead of non-lethal takedowns. Think about your choices. This game is chock full of colorful characters and satisfyingly broken RPG systems, and it's a goddamn shame that nobody played this. If you like anything Obsidian Entertainment has done, and remember, they did Fallout New Vegas, you're depriving yourself of a great time if you pass this up. Number 6, Fable II. For some goddamn reason, this game is still not available on PC, even though it's easily the best of the Fable series. Fable II is a simple story of revenge. This asshole dude kills your sister and then takes over Albion like a jerk, and it's your job to kill him. It's simple. Except Fable 2 is also filled with some goddamn incredible characters, from Hammer the Monk, a massive redhead who loves to sing almost as much as she loves to wallop the shit out of people, to Reaver, a hedonistic asshole voiced with delicious malevolence by Stephen Fry.
You must be looking for someone, and who else could it be but me?
Fable 2 doesn't just express the series' trademark sense of humor and simple, empowering combat system. It's also got some of the most genuinely difficult moral choices in games, and probably one of the most excruciating endings ever developed in a video game. We can't recommend this one highly enough if you've got an Xbox 360 lying around, or if you're ever near a thrift store, or if you ever want to be like, hey, GameStop, throw out some trash, just grab one and you can play this game. Because like we said, it's not on PC, which is a fucking mystery. Number 5, Game of Thrones. Yep, you probably haven't heard of it, much less played it, but there's a Game of Thrones RPG by Cyanide Studios. It's a little janky, yeah, and it doesn't make the greatest first impression, but its story ends up being really goddamn good and really goddamn Game of Thronesy. Arguably as much as, if not more so, than the more popular and recent Telltale game. Yeah, I said it. You'll get to feel the terror of making moral choices in Westeros, knowing that any amount of warmth might screw you over forever. You'll get to pledge yourself to the Lord of Light and do fiery shit to people you feel kinda guilty about killing. You'll get to warg into a really ugly dog and rip people's throats out. All told, it's a pretty good time. When you ask someone their favorite BioWare RPG franchise, they'll probably say Mass Effect or Dragon Age. It's a shame that they don't even think to say Jade Empire, which took BioWare's quality storytelling and put it into a setting that was so fresh and unique that apparently nobody bought the game. Taking place in a fantasy realm heavily inspired by martial arts and wuxia movies, Jade Empire was a satisfying beat-em-up with a great story, fun characters, and an unfortunately one-of-a-kind setting. If there is any justice in the world, this franchise would have taken off. But there's not, so it didn't. Number 3, Torment, Tides of Numenera. Numina is gonna work and play the game? No. You know how Planetscape Torment is one of the most well-written RPGs ever? How it's relentlessly imaginative and how its prose crackles with ideas and concepts that no other game would dare to touch? Well, Torment, Tides of Numenera is a lot like that. It feels like Torment got lost in the tidal wave of CRPG revivals, overlooked in favor of Pillars of Eternity or Divinity Original Sin. But Torment is easily the most well-written of the recent entries into the isometric RPG genre. Whether you're exploring a city built in the belly of a massive beast, or uncovering your past as a vessel for an undying god, a single one of Torment's side quests often shows more ingenuity and crazy acidness than most full games. But don't take our word for it. Go on a trip yourself. Number 2, Tyranny. This is a game about working for the bad guy in a world where the bad guys have already won. That's why it's a great game, and also why nobody bought it. Apparently, people aren't brave enough to actually explore a fantasy universe where things are shitty most of the time, which is weird, because that's exactly what Game of Thrones is. But there's apparently something about signing up to exist and make choices in such a world that turn gamers off. Either way, don't sleep on this one. The combat's good, the setting's fascinating, and the moral choices are real nail-biters. Number 1, Brave Fencer Musashi. Imagine Legend of Zelda meets Kirby meets Pokemon meets Samurai meets Steampunk. Oh my god, this sounds great. This PS1 game is about trapping creatures with your magical sword, siphoning their abilities, and killing giant robots with weird food pun names. It's cute, it's fun, and it withstands the test of time. The history of RPGs, powered by Summoner's War. Top 8 best RPGs you've never played. Not an elegant title, but let us know in the comments how you would reword this episode, and which RPGs you've played that people haven't. It's like discussing a band name that hasn't gotten big yet. Who knows? Maybe Alpha Protocol will take off.